All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Here we go, another snippet. We're looking at a small little sample from the Patreon breakdowns. If you're interested in the full breakdown, you can check out the link below in the description. I appreciate any and all support for the channel and for sharing this type of information with cinematography, right? The goal is to get you better by looking at examples that other people have done that turn out pretty good, or sometimes that turn out pretty bad, right? So that's what we're looking at today. One of the things, probably one of the most difficult situations for any cinematographer, it doesn't matter if you're new, old to the game, it's going to be night exteriors. Night exteriors, normally you think gigantic setups, huge backlights, very expensive. This is how we're going to do it. It's going to look like Blade Runner. You watch until you get the quote, and then you tell production, and then they say, yeah, we're not going to do that. Let's not do the backlit beautiful thing. Let's do something that we can get that isn't going to cost us an arm and a leg. And then that's why you say, well, how are we going to do it? And in this example from I'm Your Woman, they do it. No backlight. It's nighttime exterior. Guess what? Still looks great. I'll give you a little spoiler alert. Still, always use a wet down. Why do you use a wet down? Because it gets you bonus level for almost zero cost, right? By the time you get Bob out with Bob's truck for the water, or if you're at a house and you just hose it down with a hose, like free, or use your neighbor's water, even better, right? Because then you're actually winning. But do yourselves a favor, get a wet down. But Patrick, it's supposed to be in the middle of summer. Nobody cares. Just like with matching. Shots matching, nobody cares. Wet down magically appearing, nobody cares, right? Why? Because it looks better. If you did the wet down and it looked worse, guess what? Probably shouldn't do the wet down. But if you do the wet down and it looks better, which it always does, do the wet down, right? That's words to live by in cinematography. If something makes something look better, do that, right? Especially if it's almost free. Especially if it's going to take a significant amount of work extra if you don't do that thing to get even anywhere near the results if you would just do that one thing. So let's make good choices. That's what we're looking at in this breakdown. I'm Your Woman. You want to see the full video? Patreon. Here we go. Let's do it. This is lighting, night exterior lighting, not done with a giant sort of backlighty setup, which you don't really see that much. I have to imagine, well, I don't have to imagine. We can just talk about it. Normally, right, what you would do is above the frame up here somewhere, you would have your backlit moon. But either sometimes it's just not possible to get a backlight in there. Sometimes there's budget restrictions on how big you can make it. All those things. This is something you can do with a significantly smaller budget. It's still about balancing the level. So, number one, well, let's look at the road, right? Cutting across the frame like this, creating an interesting line. We've got these practicals that we installed, little tiny Astera tubes that we put underneath here, just to add some highlight. Really, the main thing here though is this wash. And this really could be two washes, right? One for the tree and then one for back here, played at different levels. But it's about getting the lamps big enough, like you need enough fixture to get them far enough away so that you don't feel the heat from the lamp drop off, right? So if you're pointing it here, you pretty much want it to be the same by the time it gets over here. Now, in practical purposes, that's really hard to do. You need a big lamp really, really far away so you don't get some hot source here and it fades off to nothingness by over here, right? That's what you're trying to avoid with the night stuff. But the angle that we've got on the house, all of the practicals there, and then these little tiny accents, I just imagine if these weren't here, and this was just all straight black, it becomes really flat, right? And these things, which they probably don't have control over and they probably can't dim, they're probably just leaving these, let them blow out. But even here, this little tiny backlight on the hedge, uplight here, and then the blue from the side. But this wash is really, really nice across the front of the building, where it doesn't feel lit. I mean, it does here. Right, that sort of feels lit, but really good tone just across the entire image, and then peppering in those warmer tones, and then of course the wet down, right? The wet down buys you all of that level. That's all you're getting at. All that ambient lift is really, really nicely done. And a slight push in, good. And I think we're going into this room up here. Let's go. Oh, we go downstairs first, then we go upstairs. Now, there again, much like the door chat or the dining room table scene, the bedroom I'm asleep scene, you will do this if you're a cinematographer. And you will probably struggle at first because it seems really easy to do. The problem is if you actually light up these shears, you light them up to, let's say, this level, you're not going to have enough carry here, right? It's not going to be enough. There's not going to be enough unless you have a very, very sensitive camera, right? Because you don't want to open up too much because this will blow out. You'll get more level here, but it will blow out. So again, it's about balancing the ratios in here. So normally what you do is you light up the shears as you want them. And notice how there's that little bit of interest there. It's not just lighting up the shears. I'm just like, just point the light at it. No, you still have to shape. Even this line you want to be shaping. So we're pushing light, probably in this instance, we're pushing it in this way and just cutting it off so it's halfway interesting. Then inside of the room, I did it again with the pen. Then inside of the room, we are doing our pushing this way, right? And really, really as big and broad and as low levels as you can get them. And you're just going for this little outline here. But if you rely on the window to do it, then you're trying to do two things with one instrument, which is always more difficult than doing one and one. So up here, you're just pushing in level as much as you can possibly get. This is also a scenario where you would be going as low in the ISO as you possibly could to really open up the dynamic range inside of the shadows. Because you know you're nowhere clipping, right, in any direction here. So you might as well get as much information on the sensor as you possibly can. Cut over, and again, still, if we jacked up all these light levels by 2 stops, it would be the exact same lighting that we do in every other scene, that we see in every other scene, right? Upstage, key, that little tiny bit of wraparound to get the eye light in there. Really, really simple stuff. All right, so you see what I mean. It's not incredibly difficult. I mean, it is different that it's not backlit. You front lit, you're gonna have to come up with some solutions, and you're gonna have to create some depth in some other way besides making that rounded edge that you get with backlight where you can bounce level back into it, or you can blend the lights a little bit closer together. But sometimes you just don't have the resources. Sometimes you need to front light things. And when you need to front light things, what can you concentrate on? You can still concentrate on, can we get light and shadow in the same image? How many times can we get repeatable light and shadow across the image? The more you can do that, the more interesting it's going to be. The more interesting it's going to be, the more people are going to like it. They're not going to be able to tell you why they like it, but you're going to know, right? And you're going to know because you watched this video and you said, why do people like things? In fact, why do I like things? Oh, because there's a little bit of light, there's a little bit of dark. It doesn't look two-dimensional, even though it is a two-dimensional medium that we're working with. It looks like, I don't know, it looks like things are coming out of the screen. It's almost like they're 3 dimensions. It's almost like that's the job, is creating those. Who knows? Anyway, once again, you made it to the end. 1%ers, good for you. Leave a comment down below, something cryptic. Again, something that will excite the people to watch the entire video. Like, did you see that at the end? That was crazy. I can't believe he did that at the end. I can't believe, but then again, why do we want people to watch to the end? It doesn't really matter to me. We're past the good stuff by now, right? This is the average stuff. This is me wasting time because I don't want to go outside. Okay, that's going to do it for this one. Many thanks. We'll see you in the next one. Yeah.